Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. You join me today for episode 4 of our survival farming on Edgewater, Saskatchewan playthrough. Here's our farm in case you're interested. It is June and we are going to start right off with accepting a couple contracts, and we're going to spray the weeds off of our field. I'm just going to take 2 fertilizing contracts so that way we've got some good cash incoming, just to make sure we don't go under, because we do have actually I don't know if we have any leased vehicles. We do have a leased item. It's not very much, but we do have running expenses here on the farm, and we want to make sure that we don't go below 0. We do have weeds growing on most of our fields that we planted last episode. Just in case you missed that, I will have the link to that episode, as well as a few other series that I've done in the description, so you can feel free to check those out if you're interested. But yeah, without further ado, I'm going to go and get my tractors, and we'll get them set up and ready to go for spraying some herbicide as well as spreading some fertilizer. Now, of course, right as I say that, I can't seem to find my tractor. Oh, apparently it's already ready to go. Right, so we're just going to start all the way over here with our fields on the left, and we'll work our way in. The goal of this episode is to get all of the weeds sprayed off of our field. I think we have 6 or 7 fields that need spraying. So 42 will need sprayed, 38, 37, as well as 34, and this is a grass field. I did plant soybeans on it, so I guess that's just 5 fields that'll need sprayed. And then we do have a contract here on field 8 as well as field 32, and that will be just spreading fertilizer. Nice and simple, cut and dry, but good money from it. So yeah, I think all told we'll make about $32,000 from that, so that is some solid income. Let's just make sure we're not trampling the crops. Yep, they're still young enough where they'll spring right back up. I did say this is survival farming, and just in case you are not aware, what that entails is playing on playing on hard difficulty, hard economic difficulty, making sure we get the most realistic prices for our grain. We also have some smaller, older equipment, such as this white Field Boss here. We're running the smallest in-game sprayer, pretty small seeder, and we're running 2 small Parker gravity wagons, just to sort of get that starting small feeling. I don't want to start with, like, a 2-meter cultivator, 2-meter planter, or something crazy ridiculous, but something just so we can look back when we've made it to working big fields with several different harvesters running at the same time. We can look back and remember where we came from, and it just makes it so much sweeter to have all that nice fancy tech. So yeah, as I say, we're playing hard economic difficulty. I have everything turned on, so periodic plowing required, weeds are turned on. We're using precision farming DLC, which means we have to spread fertilizer as well as lime to ensure that we get the highest yield possible. I'm also limiting myself to not lease very many items, because that is a way to sort of get around the whole survival aspect. I could just sell all of my equipment, buy myself some big fields, and just rent a harvester and sell all that produce from the fields that I've bought. That's not really what I'm trying to accomplish here. And eventually, the goal is to get to where we can have some animals here on the farm, to sort of diversify our income. Maybe run some production chains, have several different types of crops growing in our fields, just so we're constantly making money. Every month of the year we have something to do, instead of having these dry spells of 3 or 4 months in between planting and harvest season where we're not you know, sitting on our hands doing nothing. There's still productive things to be done, such as this, spraying the crops, doing contracts to make some money. But yeah, eventually we'll have chores and whatnot to do every day, so every month is used and is needed. And I'm not just going to skip through the months, because that just sort of defeats the purpose of playing the game. You're just going to skip through every month until it's harvest time. You know, you could play that way. I have no problems with that, but for the purposes of this survival farming playthrough, I don't want to just be skipping through months. But anyways, I have babbled long enough for us to complete an entire field of spraying. That's fantastic. So now we will be moving right here into the second half of the field. It's technically not a second field. It doesn't have a number to it, so we'll just call it the second half of field 34 there that we just did. But yeah, this one, pretty small. It was grass. I did sort of plow it up and make it into a field to try and make some money, to maximize the amount of profits we're making, because don't have any animals right now and I don't have grass working equipment, so leaving this sit here as grassland seemed like a bit of a waste. So I planted it with soybeans. We do have 3 fields of soybeans, I believe 2 fields of barley, and a big field of wheat over there with those grain bins at the top of your screen. But yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. This hasn't been too terribly challenging, and I suspect that's probably because the land on this map is so cheap. Even in hard difficulty, fields are like 30 to 50 grand for the small ones, and for the larger ones, you know, there'd be a few $100,000 probably, but that's not out of the realm of possibility. And certainly on easy mode, it would be a breeze to get to where we could be farming a serious amount of this map. I do appreciate that sometimes, however, it might not work the best for trying to do some survival farming. But it gets the job done for sure. And if you are not aware, this map has some special features, such as adding 3 or 4 extra crop types, and a whole new game mechanic of swathing, where with certain cereal grains you can swath them, which, you know, you sort of mow them into lanes and then use a combine harvester to pick them up after the fact, which is used to dry the crop in a more uniform way. If, you know, you've got bad weather coming, like the Saskatchewan winters, which are infamous for dropping lots of snow, and you want to get your crop to dry out faster, you can either spray it off with some spray to kill the crop to dry it out so you can harvest it sooner, or you can swath it, where you cut it and lay it into these little rows and then come back later once it's dried a little bit with a special header to sort out the grain from the chaff. And in real life there is a benefit. You know, if you need the field to all dry at the same time to dry a little faster, that's something you would do. However, in the game, you can't really speed up the growth calendar, so they just give you a 25% yield boost when you swath. So eventually, I would like to get to the point where we can be swathing our fields, but those swather machines are $125,000, I believe, for the header and the harvester, so, you know, again, not terribly expensive, but certainly not justifiable as of now. Our goals for right now are to be getting some more land, a slightly bigger planter by the next planting season. We also need to get a plow so I can plow up these fields, because several of them do require periodic plowing. All of the fields require that, but some of the fields actively need to be plowed in order to get the maximum yield allowed. Because if I'm not doing everything I can to ensure we get the highest yield, I'm just leaving money on the table, and that's not very good for survival farming. But anyways, I'm going to quit waffling on, and we'll get into spraying off these weeds, and then we'll spread some fertilizer on some other fields. And that's just what I feared there. This crop has grown too much to where when I drive over it, it gets trampled. So I can either use these big duals to leave big long strips of killed crop in my wake. Doesn't seem particularly wise, so I think I'm gonna go see if I can get some narrow tires on this thing. I might have to buy a mobile workshop or something. I don't know if I have a workshop anywhere at the farm. I knew I should have planted that field there before it got too big. Oh well, you live and learn, don't you? Alright, I'm gonna have a quick look and see if I have any type of workshop or anything around here. I don't believe so. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. So let's just buy one real quick. Head over to Tools, Vehicle Workshop. May not be the most realistic workshop I could go with, but for switching tires around, I think this suffices. That's good enough there. Wouldn't want to, maybe if I wanted to be realistic, I wouldn't do any engine swaps or anything major like a paint change or something with this workshop, but I mean, really all we're doing is taking those outer tires off because we're rocking duals right now, and duals will rip up the field, so. Whoopsies. Alright, let's see what we can do here. Yeah, so we're really just taking the duals off. So I was slim dual row crops, and now I'm running single row crops. Let's see if there's a thin tire here. Anywhere. Doesn't look like there's an option for it. So let's just go back to run single row crops. Yeah, in order to keep things realistic, I'm just going to not do any major upgrades with this tool shop here. But yeah, all I did was just take off the second outer tire, so really don't even need a workshop, but in the game you do. So I just put one down. Now this may still rip up the crop. but at least it's not the dual, so it'll be a slimmer track. So still gonna have to be careful. Unfortunately, I just don't have the ability to get narrow tires right now, so it's either lose a little bit of yield by driving over the crop or lose a lot of yield by leaving the weeds on there. Yep, that's still ripping it up, so we're gonna have to be smart about this. Let's drive forward a little bit so we don't clip the fence there. This is a shame. But it is realistic. Yeah, if you just drive around by farmland, you'll see 2 thin strips of crop missing on their fields in rows from their sprayers spraying off the weeds, because the damage from leaving weeds on the field is worse than just running over your crop a little bit. Now, unfortunately, in the game, it takes out a section instead of, obviously in real life, the only area that the crop dies is right where the tire drives over. But the game doesn't really work like that. So, as you see back here, let's see where it is. Yeah, right here. There's a gap because our tire fit perfectly in between 2 sections of crop, so it didn't actually destroy it. So, just one of the things you deal with playing a simulator instead of real life, but it's a small price to pay. Alright. So, next time we're going to have to be much more proactive and make sure the crop doesn't get tall enough to where we'll rip it up, or just buy a tire or a tractor that can handle some narrow tires on it so this doesn't happen. And again, it's survival farming, so maybe this isn't the worst thing, because it's more realistic certainly to have some of the crops get destroyed when you're driving on them. Certainly be open to your guys' suggestions on what to do with this. On this issue and as well as others. Yeah, I'm always open to suggestions. Even for other series, different maps to play, that sort of thing. Just about done here. Unfortunately, spraying's a bit one of those mundane tasks. You have to do it. It's not really the most exciting thing to watch or to do sometimes, but it leads to greater things. Harvest is excellent fun. Planting, I enjoy planting a lot. But in order to get there and to have a successful harvest, you gotta do your spraying and stuff. Alright, trying to decide the best way to do this to minimize the amount of crops we're gonna have to drive over, and I think it's just gonna be to hop on the track over there that we've made for ourselves. We're just going to try and stay in the old tracks where we were earlier, so we don't rip out any of the new crops. So yeah, looking at the field, we really didn't drive over too much, and we'll suffer less of a yield deficit than if we had just left the weeds on there. We just have one more field to do. Hopefully it's not the same scenario where we're going to be destroying the crops, but I am not sure, to be honest with you. So we will get this part done, and then we'll be moving on to spreading fertilizer for those 2 contracts there, 8 and 32. And I'll be looking forward to see if there's any other contracts to do that are worth our while. And we might even be able to harvest a field today, potentially. Now, I was hoping to be able to get all these fields done without having to refill on herbicide once more, but unfortunately that's just not in the cards for me today, so I'm going to have to go and refill right away, which is a shame because we're so close to being done. We just have like one more little pass to do, but you got to do what you got to do. Right. And I have been just pulling out in the road here, even though the sprayer isn't done folding up, but there's no harm done there as long as the roadway's clear. There we are, filled up, nice and good, and we're just going to get this sprayer unfolded and we'll finally finish up spraying, and then we'll move on to spreading. Spraying and spreading, that's what I'm doing today. And this definitely didn't take very long at all, so don't really need to be upgrading the sprayer at all for a while at least. Eventually it gets to be where it takes a while, but for the time being it's definitely manageable. You know, 15-20 minutes to spray all the fields, that's not terrible. And that's one of the benefits of small fields. As long as your equipment isn't tiny, it doesn't take you too long to get through it, but in terms of our seeding situation, I definitely want to upgrade that, because that did take a while. But yeah, we're already done there, so we'll get this thing home. Probably put the duals back on this beast, because it's looking a little narrow right now. Tractor looks like it's on a diet. Plus it's got those weird little pegs sticking out from the wheels, and I don't necessarily like that aesthetic. What are you slamming on your brakes for, huh? There's a lot of lentils around here. 3 or 4 fields all next to each other full of lentils. Fancy that. Here we'll get another look at the field I destroyed with my tires. Definitely probably should have done straighter lines. That doesn't look very satisfying, but it's alright. Nearly back. As nice as this tractor is, it's a wee bit slow, so we might have to get that fixed up here before too long. Now I'm thinking I'm going to use the stayer for... actually, let's whip that around. I think I'm going to use the stayer for spreading the fertilizer. Just because it doesn't really get used much, you know. My field boss has 4.5 hours on it, which isn't much at all. And the stayer has 5, really? Wow, fancy that, I'm wrong. Still gonna use it though, because I'm stubborn like that. Let's see. Hopefully this is tucked back in here. Yep. It's a little dusty from lime spreading, but should be a-okay. We'll have to empty out the lime that's in here because there's still a couple thousand liters almost. Boop. Huh. At least it's not right in the middle of the path. That would be annoying. And yeah, I suppose I should hose it off just so we avoid cross-contamination. Not sure how big of an issue that would really be, getting lime on your crops after they've been planted. But I suppose you probably shouldn't eat lime, so it wouldn't be good to spread it back on your crops that you've already planted that will eventually be eaten. So we'll just get this nice and hosed off, just to be safe. There. Looks good as new. And now we can go fill it up. I am going to start with this field right next to my farm, just because it's the bigger of the two contracts. And it's right there, so... Well, shucks, I'm out of money. That's not good, I might have to take out a loan. Or sell the straw or something. Because yeah, as much as I enjoy spreading fertilizer just like the next guy, I was kind of hoping to be able to have a worker do some of this, but you can't hire a worker if you don't have money to pay him, so... Might have to go and sell that lime, or sorry, sell the straw bales to get a few $1,000. Yikes, I was hoping money wouldn't be this tight. Now, I have no idea how, but for some reason it seems to think we're done already, so I'm not complaining. I'm just going to collect it. Boop. $17,681. Very nice. Yeah, I really shouldn't have been all that worried about how much money I had in the bank. We had plenty of fertilizer to get through that field. And extra. So I'm going to... I could probably get through all of the other field with this amount, but I'm just going to fill it up a little bit more. Hopefully it doesn't come out too fast here. Okay, that's probably good enough. Spent $3,000 of my profits on more fertilizer. We'll be heading over to the next field to get that one done. Alright, before I get to that field actually, I want to see what in the world this crop is, because it is so vibrant green. It's crazy. This is flax, okay. So flax is that green. I'm not sure if that's meant to be that green, or if it's maybe not the best textured, I don't know. I've never grown flax before in real life, so I'm not sure what it's supposed to look like. Anyways, that up there beyond that little pond is field 8, which is where we'll be doing the fertilizing. And since this has all gone so quickly, we're going to be moving right into harvest here soon. Is it next month when harvest is? Let me just check that real quick. So yeah, 2 months it'll be wheat. It'll be time to harvest our wheat, so it's hard to believe it's all moving so fast, but it has been. Anyways, I'll get this lentil field. I believe it's lentils. Peas, never mind. I'll get this pea field fertilized, and then we'll be moving on towards our wheat harvest. Enjoy. And here we are, done with another contract. Even though we're not even close to being done. Again, not complaining, just a little confused. Now that we've got those 2 contracts done, we're up to 30,000. It's a pretty good amount of money. Let's get back to our farm and we'll sleep. And see what adventures July holds for us. If there's nothing too spectacular going on, we'll be moving on and harvesting wheat. We'll see you then. Alrighty guys, here we are in August on the farm, and as it is August, that means that our wheat and barley is ready to harvest. Here on 36 and 38 we have wheat, and then On field 17 and field 42 we have barley. We'll just be doing the wheat harvest. And potentially a contract or two, maybe. I don't recall. Yep, that does get both doors. Alright. Here we are to fire up our Claas Lexion. This thing is very loud. It's a bit of a pain to have to make sure it doesn't drown me out. But it sounds fantastic. It's probably the best sound model I've heard on any mod for Farming Simulator. Alright, we're just going to head down towards our wheat field. Here's our field of soybeans, looking very nice. Let's just go have a gander at it. Yeah, looks good, looks good. And our expected yield is really high in certain places. Anywhere from 115 up to 123 it looks like. So, yeah. This stuff should make a pretty penny, I hope. Anyways. Get this thing over to the field. And I suppose I should look and see if there's any good contracts before I get into this. Harvesting. Harvest lentils for 10,000. 31. Yeah, let's do that one. 24,000. Then oats. We'll do that one too. Okay. Now those two contracts could very well pay more than both of these fields of wheat combined. But that's just the way things work here on survival farming. Ooh, field 35. I do want to see how much that costs. 110,000. So yeah, can't really afford much of anything, unfortunately. Unless I took out a loan, but I really don't want to take out a loan if I can help it. Alright, let's bring the header down there. And yeah, you can really tell the difference in sound. This pickup sounds like nothing at all. Even though I'm, you know, not very far away from it. If I get close, you can like faintly hear it, but that combine is just so loud. Wish there was a way to like turn down the sound for a specific piece of equipment, but I'm not sure of one. So unfortunately, I think I'm just stuck with it. Okay. Yeah, that'll fit through there just fine. Let's turn that off and get our header on. Just ensure we have straw swath on. We do. Let's unfold the header. And here we are. times like these where my harvester slows down to 2 miles an hour that I wish I could soften the landscape. I believe that's the problem. Maybe it's because the engine on this combine just can't cope with the amount of grain going through it, or the width of the header. I'm not sure. But yeah, it is annoying going 1 or 2 miles an hour, as you saw over there. It slows down, it bogs way down, so I don't know what the fix is. I'm sure I can toy with some things after I've got some money in my pocket. Toy with getting a larger harvester, maybe soften all the fields a little bit after harvest to see if that makes them leveled out a little better and easier to work with. Which isn't too unrealistic. Obviously, using a painting tool to soften things up is unrealistic, but the notion of leveling out a field that's got some issues with bumps and harsh, fast elevation changes is not uncommon. So yeah, I will have to look into that at a later date. Harvest has been going very well. We're just about ready to put our third load of wheat in the grain carts. Yeah, speaking of that, there it is. The gravity bins will not be able to take all of this because they're almost full, so we'll head over to dump them in our silos before we get back in the field. We're almost done with this one, then we'll be heading over to the field that we sprayed and had to rip up some of the crop, unfortunately. There we have it, full on the grain carts, the gravity wagons. That's another thing I'd like to upgrade. As of right now, a full load is 26,430 liters. I would like to get to where we can handle a little bit more grain at once. Plus, you know, these gravity wagons, they dump so slowly. It takes like a couple minutes for them to dump completely, which is absolutely absurd. So that's something I want to look into, is maybe upscaling our grain carting abilities. Look into possibly a cheap semi, potentially, or just some better grain carts. Anyways, I'm going to quit babbling and we will get back into harvesting once we've got these grain carts emptied. Alrighty, and with one last little bit, we will be done with these 2 fields of wheat, and that's where I'm going to wrap up the episode. Next episode, we will be harvesting our fields of barley, as well as baling all the straw from the wheat and the barley, and we also took those 2 harvesting contracts, so we'll get around to those as well. And who knows, potentially we'll even be harvesting our soybean fields. There will be a lot of harvesting next episode. If you did enjoy it, feel free to leave a like. It helps boost the video and get it to other people so they can watch it, and hopefully they like it just as much as you did. If you got any suggestions for this, such as mods to use, any tractors to buy, anything really, leave a comment down below. That'll help me sort of get an idea of what you guys like to see. And yeah, as long as it fits with the survival farming, I have no problems with that. If you do like the content that I produce, feel free to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it when it comes out. But yeah, this has been Fast Farmer. I'll see you next time. Peace.